Hey, welcome back to my special summer series, the #1 albums of 1984. This week, we're going to look at the second album to make it to the top spot on the Billboard 200 album chart, the soundtrack to the motion picture Footloose. Footloose peaked at #1 on the Billboard 200 album chart on April 21st, 1984, and held the top spot for 10 weeks. 6 of the 7 singles from the album made it into the top 40, with 3 of them making it into the top 10, and 2 of those reaching the #1 spot. The first single released from the album was Footloose by Kenny Loggins. It was released on January 11th, 1984, and it peaked at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart on March 31st, 1984, and it held the spot for 3 weeks. It was also Kenny Loggins' only #1 hit. Along with reaching #1 on the weekly charts, it was ranked as #4 on the year-end Hot 100 singles chart. It was written by Kenny Loggins and Dean Pitchford. Dean Pitchford not only wrote the screenplay for the movie, but he also co-wrote every song on the soundtrack. In a 2022 interview with Vulture, Kenny Loggins said that Footloose was inspired by Mitch Ryder's Devil with a Blue Dress. He also said that the sections of the song with the names and the rhyming, like "Come on, Milo, come on, let's go," those parts, those were inspired by Paul Simon's 50 Ways to Leave Your Lover. Now, the song was supposed to be finished in time for the kids to actually dance to it at the end of the movie while they were recording the film, but Kenny Loggins was not able to get it done in time, so the kids danced to Johnny B. Good by Chuck Berry, and Footloose was added in post. The second single released from the album was Bonnie Tyler's Holding Out for a Hero. It was also released in January of 1984, and it peaked at number 34 on the charts on April 14th, 1984. It was written by Gene Steinman and Dean Pitchford, and Paramount Pictures had asked that Bonnie record a song for the movie. The third single released from the album was Dancing in the Sheets by Shalimar. It was released on January 31st, 1984, and it peaked at number 17 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart on May 26, 1984. The song was written by Bill Wolfer and Dean Pitchford. The fourth single released from the album is our second #1 hit, Let's Hear It for the Boy by Denise Williams. The song was released on February 14th, 1984, and it peaked at #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 chart on May 26, 1984, and it held the top spot for 2 weeks. The song was also released as a single from Denise's 8th album of the same name. The fifth single from the album was a duet, Almost Paradise, performed by Ann Wilson of Heart and Mike Reno of Loverboy. It was released in March of 1984 and peaked at #7 on the Billboard charts on July 14th, 1984. The song was written by Eric Carmen and Dean Pitchford. The sixth single from the album was I'm Free, Heaven Helps the Man by Kenny Loggins. It was released in June of 1984, and it peaked at number 22 on the charts in July of 1984. The song was written by Kenny Loggins and Dean Pitchford. I told you he co-wrote everything. The seventh and final single released from the album was Somebody's Eyes by Carla Bonoff. It was written by Tom Snow and Dean Pitchford. I couldn't find the release date for this song, and it did not chart. Other songs on the album include The Girl Gets Around, performed by Sammy Hagar and written by Sammy Hagar and Dean Pitchford, and Never, performed by Moving Pictures, written by Michael Gore and Dean Pitchford. The album certified gold on April 21st, 1984, and 9 times platinum on March 13th, 2001. This week you needed your dancing shoes. Next week, you might need your cleats. We're going to talk about Huey Lewis and the News, sports.